Hi everyone, and welcome back to another math lesson. This week, you've been talking all about variables and equations. Well, today, we're going to talk about expressions. Let's go ahead and look at our learning target for today. Our learning target for today says, I can use an expression with a variable to represent a given verbal expression. This week, we've talked all about variables, and we've learned that a variable is a symbol that can stand for an unknown number or quantity that changes. Today, we're going to talk about expressions and verbal expressions. If I said a number plus 4, I could use this expression in the blue box to represent that. That number I'm going to represent with the variable a plus 4. Let's go ahead and look at some more examples of this together. Okay, so for this first example, I'm going to talk about the number of cookies in a full box. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't always know how many cookies are in a box. So I'm going to represent that with a variable. That variable I'm going to use is b. So here's a verbal expression. The number of cookies in a full box and 4 extra. So how can I represent that using an expression? Well, I'm going to first start off with b, because I know that b represents the number of cookies in a full box. And I want 4 extra. So if I want 4 extra, I know that I need to say plus 4. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, for the next example, I'm still working with b representing the number of cookies in a full box. Except this time, I want to represent 3 full boxes of cookies. So how can I show that? Well, I could say b plus b plus b, because that represents 3 full boxes of cookies. Or I could say 3 times b. Another way to show 3 times b is just to put 3b. When the 3 is directly next to the b, that means to multiply 3 times b. So 3 full boxes of cookies. Let's take a look at another example. Okay, in this example, it says the number of cookies each person would receive if a full box of cookies were shared among 4 people. So again, I have my box of cookies, but I'm going to share it among 4 people. That means that I need to take that box of cookies and I need to divide it by 4, because I'm sharing it with 4 people. So the expression looks like this, b divided by 4, or you could write that as b divided by 4. Okay, now in this problem it says Harold has 300 marbles and C boxes to display them. He will put an equal number of marbles in each box. Create an expression to represent the number of marbles in each box. So what do you think this expression will look like? All right, well, we know that Harold has 300 marbles, and he's going to display those marbles equally among the boxes that he has. We don't know how many boxes he has, but we know that we need to take 300 and divide that by the number of boxes that he has. Since we don't know the number, we're going to display that with a variable, which in this case is C. So the expression would be 300 divided by C. All right, and this final problem that we'll look at together says which expression can be used to represent this phrase? 11 less than a number, and that number is going to be represented with the variable m. So the first thing I see is b. B says 11 divided by m. That won't work. And C says a number divided by 11, or m divided by 11. That won't work. All right, so we want 11 less than a number. That means we need to have a number and we need to take 11 away from that number. Which one do you think that will be? If you said D, you're right. All right, let's take a look at your practice set problems for today. Here are your practice set problems for today. The first problem says, if A represents a number, which of the following expressions means 5 less than that number? The next question says, Which expression represents the phrase, the product of a number and 11? The next question says, which expression represents a number n divided by 6? And finally, the last question says, which expression represents a number y increased by 35? Pause the video here and answer these 4 questions. Press play when you are ready to check your answers. All right, and let's go ahead and check over your answers now. For the first one, if A represents a number, which of the following expressions means 5 less than that number? Your answer there was C. For the second one, which expression represents the phrase, the product of a number and 11? Your answer there was A. Remember, when the number and the variable is right next to each other, that means to multiply. For problem number 3, which expression represents a number n divided by 6? Your answer there was B, a number divided by 6. And finally, the last one, which expression represents a number y increased by 35? Your answer there was B. I hope you did a good job on these problems and that you learned something new today about expressions. Have a great one, everybody. See you next time. Bye.